Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good, good. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Kavya. I'm just very excited about this is my
I
first
am
live
more
ever.
excited because I always feel that, in today's Asian time, we always look at things a lot more like, again, from a psychological perspective or a science-based perspective. But I feel that if we were to refer back to our Vedic texts and, ancient texts, there's so much already in there that, we can pick up information from and try to incorporate it in our own life.
Hmm, right.
So definitely. Okay, so I'm going to start by introducing you first, and then we straight away jump into the questions. And
Okay.
because you have so many credentials to yourself, I don't want to miss out anything. So I'm going to be reading when I'm going to be introducing you, so I don't miss out anything about you. So, hi guys. Today we are going to be discussing the main topic being that how to learn to take responsibility of your own self. And for that, we are going to be delving into the life of Shree Ram, Lord Ram, and understand that why was he called the Maryada Purushottam and what is it that we can pick on from his life. And I have here with me Gunjan today. So Gunjan is a lawyer and she is the founder and the managing partner at a Delhi-based law firm. And she's recently also started the House of Ram, which is a part social cause and a part community-based effort. And where she's also promoting, a way of life based on Sri Ram's life. And the House of Ram actually engages a lot of people from the marginalized sections of the community to curate or to create the products that they're actually selling on their website. And the profits also actually go, towards helping the people and supporting old age homes. Is that right, Gunjan? Is there anything I've missed?
Yes. Thank you so much. That was well said.
Okay, I'm glad to know. Okay, so basically, I wanted to do this live because I wanted to understand first the biggest thing, and I think the first question in itself could be like the biggest question of the life. That is that why is Lord Ram called like Maryada Purushottam?
Okay. So, hmm, Maryada Purushottam. So,
Yeah.
Purushottam, as you know, is Uttam Purush. So, a perfect, uh, though it means perfect man, I would like to make it gender agnostic to say a
Yeah.
perfect human being.
Perfectly. Yeah.
So what really happens is that um, as humans, and because Hinduism doesn't tell you what to do, what not to do, right? It leaves it to you कि आप, of what you're going to do, and it works on the karma theory, which is that whatever you do, you're responsible for it. And whether good, bad, ugly, it's your decision, it is your choice, you make it. Whatever your choice may be, you will suffer the bad part of it as well as the benefits of it, and it's all you. That is one thing that I think we need to keep in mind because Hinduism doesn't tell you what to do. There is no diktat.
Hmm.
Then the second is it also works on the dharma theory. So what dharma really means is basically a set of duties. And
Okay.
it is very simple for people to, actually understand कि आपका एक, spouse होने का धर्म क्या है. It's obvious कि you'll be loyal, loving, honest, trustworthy, etc. ये आपका धर्म है. You have to be all these qualities to be a good spouse. तो ये आपका धर्म है. Then there is what is your dharma as an employee, that you will do your work with to the best of your ability, etc. You will not cheat your employer, you will not cheat your clients, etc. ये सारे that just come with a set of rules, right? तो अगर आप ये धर्म और कर्म दोनों देख लेंगे तो आपको कहीं ना इसको कैलिब्रेट करना पड़ता है. सो फॉर एग्जाम्पल, आपका बच्चा बीमार है तो आपका धर्म एज अ पेरेंट इज टू बी विद द चाइल्ड एंड टेक केयर. बट सपोजिंग it clashes with your dharma as an employee and you miss a critical meeting in the office,
Okay.
right? What happens then? You can
Yeah.
only be
You
at
have to
one
make a
place.
choice then.
या यू हैव टू मेक अ चॉइस, राइट?
Yeah.
तो आपकी एक धर्म होगा कि भाई मेरे को अपने बच्चे के साथ रहना है, एक धर्म आपका है कि मुझे वो क्रिटिकल मीटिंग भी अटेंड करनी है
Right.
बिकॉज वो मेरा धर्म है. तो आप कहीं ना कहीं एक ये चॉइस करते हैं, राइट?
Right.
और जो ये आप चॉइस करते हैं कि मुझे बच्चे के साथ रहना चाहिए या मुझे एम्प्लॉय ऑफिस जाना चाहिए, इज व्हाट इज योर मर्यादा,
Okay. Like the
राइट?
limit. Maryada means limit in
It's a
simple English.
limit, it's a limit, थ्रेशोल्ड,
Okay.
राइट? आपका क्या थ्रेशोल्ड है, आपके क्या चॉइसेस हैं. नाउ
Okay.
नाइदर ऑफ दीज चॉइसेस आर रॉन्ग, बट
Correct.
क्योंकि ये कर्म थ्योरी पे रहता है, अगर आप अपने बच्चे को छोड़ के यू मेक अ चॉइस कि नहीं मैं ऑफिस जाऊंगा, you're probably going to be a star employee, right? But not a very good parent.
Correct.
It is your choice of whether you want to be a better known as, or whether you see
Yeah.
yourself that I
Yeah.
am choosing to be a good parent. I am
What is the
choosing to be a
priority
bad
for
employee.
you in that moment?
Yes, I am choosing to be a bad employee. I am choosing to be a good parent. अब उस वो आपका कर्म हो गया, आप नहीं गए क्रिटिकल मीटिंग में, उसका जो भी आपकी सफरिंग होगी वो आपको मिलेगी मिलेगी. जो आपका बेनिफिट है for choosing your child to be there in his hour of need is also the benefit is going to be yours,
Yeah.
that you are a good parent, you will be seen as a good parent, your child will see you as a good parent, etc. Right? So ये आपका ये मर्यादा जो है ये आपकी ऐसे सेट होती है जो आप हर मिनट पे आप ये देखते हैं. आप ये देखेंगे कि Maryada can be personal also, in the sense that if you have 1 hour which is free, will you go to the gym and take care of yourself, which is Sarv Dharm, or will you spend it with your spouse who's waiting to spend time with you? तो आप अपना स्पाउस धर्म निभाएंगे कि आप अपना सर्व
Got it.
धर्म निभाएंगे.
Got it. Got it.
Your spouse and your parents don't get along, तो आप अपने छुट्टी का समय पेरेंट्स की सेवा में लगाएंगे या स्पाउस के साथ घूमने जाएंगे. It's a
Right.
choice.
Got it.
So that is what will set your Maryada. Now you can set your Maryada as whoever you are. There are no wrong choices. There are no right choices. It is your choice and it is your life. So you can choose anything you want, and that sets your Maryada. Now why Ram is considered Maryada Purushottam is because जो उन्होंने given the choice, every moment, the choices he has made is considered a perfect choice.
Okay.
Right? So there is a difference between, so for example, as a husband, what choice did he make? He made a
Okay, I'm
choice to be.
sorry. I'll interject a little bit here. I think that's the most controversial thing
I
about this.
know.
And even I may sound like a cynic, but like the whole, and be it movies or be it even in today's Asian time, that is one example that's always given ki is janam mein ye Sita pariksha nahi degi, like that.
हाँ,
And of course, the onset of like different beliefs in feminism, etc.
right.
So how is he like who is defining, or like how is it that he's still considered a Maryada Purushottam? Like if you can just elaborate more on it.
हाँ,
Like
तो
who is defining these
इसमें
set of choices to be right, or what he did with Sita, like in what point of view was it correct, or if there's something that we don't know and you can apprise us of.
No, it's basically, ये है कि अब, अब हम लोग थे तो नहीं. We don't have anything
Right.
from the horse's mouth of what Sita was thinking or what Ram was thinking. So we can only make our own interpretations and see what works for us. Now, in this Sita issue, I think इसको ना different hats में देखना चाहिए, जो कि हम लोग अपनी life में नहीं देख पाते हैं. So, for example, let's just say that he's a king, right? Now, as a king, उनके धर्म है. He's wearing a king hat, right?
Yeah, yeah.
उनकी प्रजा ने उनसे बोला मुझे आपकी रानी पसंद नहीं है, right? Now, as a king, he decided कि my entire every breath of my life is for my praja. If my praja doesn't like my queen, or my queen is being questioned, right, or my praja thinks she is not a good role model, I need to get rid of the queen. I will choose my praja over the queen, which he did, right? So the praja did not get their queen because they didn't think she was okay. Now my thing is, if you are going to kind of transfer this in today's modern age, now look at any of your leaders, right? If आपका क्या हमारा क्या एक्सपेक्टेशन रहता है फ्रॉम आवर लीडर्स? हमारी एक्सपेक्टेशन रहती है कि उसका कोई काम नहीं है, वो सिर्फ हमारी सेवा के लिए है. एज अ पब्लिक, क्या हम ये कभी एक्सेप्ट करते हैं कि अगर हमारे लीडर ने कह दिया कि मेरा ना आज पेट खराब है तो मैं ना क्रिटिकल यूएन की मीटिंग में नहीं जाऊंगा? आर वी रेडी टू एक्सेप्ट दिस? आर वी रेडी टू एक्सेप्ट दैट मैं क्रिटिकल डिफेंस मीटिंग्स में नहीं जाऊंगा, या मैं कोई फॉरेन पॉलिसी मीटिंग में नहीं जाऊंगा क्योंकि मेरा स्पाउस बीमार है? As people, are we ready?
Put a debacle on Twitter where we would be going like that, why have we chosen our leaders, and like is this
उसको
what we
हाँ,
chosen?
उसको अपने ही एजेंडा से फुर्सत ना मिलती. हमारी सेवा कब करेगा, राइट?
Correct,
मतलब
correct,
अभी भी अगर आप देखें तो आप किसी भी वर्ल्ड लीडर को उठा के देख लें, क्या आपको मालूम है कि हमारे प्रेसिडेंट की वाइफ का नाम क्या है, राइट? हमारे ऑस्ट्रेलियन प्रेसिडेंट की वाइफ का नाम क्या है? अब ऑब्वियसली दे आर ऑल मैरिड एंड स्टफ लाइक दैट, बट वी आर नॉट इंटरेस्टेड। वो हमारे लीडर हैं, वो हमारे राजा हैं, या वट एवर लीडर मान लीजिए, क्योंकि राजा तो खत्म हो गए, बट लीडर हैं। तो अब उनका काम क्या है? हमारी सुनना, हमारी सेवा करना, हमारी जिंदगी बेटर करना। उनकी अपनी कोई लाइफ पे हक नहीं है। दैट इज
right.
सो when Ram did this, he actually set that benchmark of that Maryada ki yes, if you are a king, either don't be a king,
Okay.
right? But if you choose to be a king, then Praja is going to be your first priority. Good,
Okay.
bad, ugly, indifferent.
Okay.
What the Praja wants. Now the Praja is crazy. We are all crazy. We don't want to know what the president is doing with his wife. Whether he is a good father, we don't want to know. We don't want to know whether the president Saab
Focus on
has
ourselves
children.
and you do bhala first.
Ha, he's
Yeah.
our leader. So just tell me what you're doing.
Yeah.
You are my leader. I don't care whether you're a good husband, bad father. I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah.
Right? So Praja is idiotic. वो आज भी idiotic है, वो उस समय भी idiotic थी. So but
Right.
as a leader, you have to take that. You have to understand that मेरी प्रजा में हर तरह का इंसान होगा. मेरी प्रजा में हर तरह के लोग डिमांड्स करेंगे. Good, bad, ugly, indifferent demands have to be met. So he abandoned Sita as a queen. She was never the queen. She never came back also when he went back saying ki, okay, I'll take you back. And he wanted to take her back as the queen. Come to Ayodhya. And she said, that's not going to happen. The Praja rejected me once. I am not going to keep proving myself to become a queen. Right? Now you see Ram as wearing a hat of a husband. Right? So while he let Sita go, अब इसमें ना एक सवाल आता है मेरे मन में कि इज फिजिकल प्रॉक्सिमिटी ऑफ अ स्पाउस नेसेसरी टू मेक अ गुड मैरिज, फॉर एग्जाम्पल, राइट? The answer I find for myself is that no, because one thing is that I come from a Fauji background. My father was in the army, and I have grown up seeing couples staying separate for
Yeah.
years on end.
And not just
Army,
like your own parents or whoever, like you must be seeing
yeah,
like so many of them getting
एवरीबडी, मतलब एक जवान को साल में 15 दिन की छुट्टी मिलती है, वो उसी में आके शादी करता है, उसी में उसकी वाइफ प्रेग्नेंट होती है. वाइफ टेक्निकली ब्रिंग्स अप द किड्स. ऑफिसर्स को तो फिर भी काफी वो मिल जाता है कि भाई यू कैन कीप पीस स्टेशन मिल जाता है, बट जवानों को कहाँ मिलता है? बीएसएफ जवान्स, राइट? आई मीन फॉर मंथ्स, मतलब दे बेयरली गेट टू बी इन फिजिकल प्रॉक्सिमिटी ऑफ देयर वाइफ, say 15 to 20 days a year. But
yeah.
that doesn't mean it's a bad marriage, right? So physical proximity to my mind is not necessary to make a good marriage. Marriage में spouse का धर्म है, trust, loyalty, love, honesty, right? Now, on all these parameters, if you look at Ram as a husband, don't think of him as a king for the time being. He never took another wife. He never shared his love with anyone else. It was Sita who was his soulmate, remained soulmate till the end of time. So जो भी promises थे as a husband to
Yeah.
Sita, he kept them.
Yeah.
Till the very end, the love was intense between the two of them. So I like to think that he didn't abandon her as a wife. I think a wife is abandoned, वो बेशक सेम घर में रह रही हो, but if there is a fractured relationship where people are not sharing, they're not staying, they're not loving, they're not truthful to each other, they're not trusting, or a spouse chooses to step out and, share their love with someone else, that is more a betrayal on the spousal dharma than
Right.
physical
Right.
proximity.
Right. Right.
So to that extent also, Ram as a husband, his Maryada that he chose, that yes, I will stay separate, I will stay alone, I will not find another queen, I will not share my love with anyone else. I think that Maryada कि आप अलग भी हैं तो भी आप इतने connected
Right.
हैं,
Right.
right?
Right.
Is where his Maryada is considered perfect, that he is a Maryada Purushottam as a husband. he's the perfect husband.
Got it.
As a
Got it.
king, he's the perfect king. Now you can see it in all his choices. As a brother, is it okay to abdicate in favor of Bharat? कि हाँ वो
Yeah.
बन जाए राजा, कोई बात नहीं, right? Is it okay as a son कि irrespective a mother's wish, it's cruel, but you still have to because you need to set an example,
Yeah.
right? So as a son, what choices he's made. As a brother, what choices he's made. As a friend to Hanuman, for example.
Right.
As an enemy to Ravan, right? Of how the entire war was played and fought
Yeah.
above board,
Yeah.
right? There were no जैसे वो महाभारत में होते हैं ना, अश्वत्थामा मारा गया, थोड़ा सा ग्रे एरिया में रहता है सब कुछ वैसा रामायण में नहीं है. Everything's above board. So it's so as that's why he's Maryada Purushottam. So, and Maryada Purushottam, because of his choices, he's the only one who suffered the most. I mean, of course, Sita suffered, Lakshman suffered. Suffering is, I guess, given.
Sorry,
Everyone suffers. So,
just getting a call, so it got paused. Yeah,
suffering is a given. Everyone suffers. आप अपने कितने भी अवतार देख लीजिए, saints देख लीजिए. Sai Baba suffered so much. Right? Everyone, Ram, Krishna, Buddha, they've all suffered. Right? So suffering से कोई बचना नहीं हो सकता. सिर्फ एक sense of peace हो सकती है that you've made the right choice और ये मेरी मर्यादा है, I am going to live by it. Suffering तो ऐसे भी होनी है और वैसे भी होनी है. Suffering से कोई नहीं बचा है. So it's the response to that suffering. हाँ, मतलब यार अगर मेरे को कोई बोल दे कि घर से निकल जाओ for whatever reason because you are insecure, right? My reaction to that is going to be anything from कि लुट गए, बर्बाद हो गए to okay, it could be an adventure.
Yeah, exactly. That's very nice.
So I think it will be
and how you choose to like make use of that suffering and see like okay now what next. It's definitely about your response to suffering. Makes sense.
हाँ, अब निकल तो गए, निकाल दिया, गुड बैड अगली इंडिफरेंट निकाल तो दिया किसी ने घर से, अब क्या करना है, राइट? अब might as well.
What is the next question? Which is, so you have explained us that what is Maryada, and you have also explained us a little bit about Dharma, and thank you so much for that. And why is Ram called the Maryada Purushottam? But before we venture into like further questions, can you still elaborate a little bit more on Dharma? Is there anything you feel is going to be relevant in today's age and time to us? And also most of the audience is fairly young, huh? So I mean, in case you want to, like give us any pearls of wisdom, because I know you have done extensive reading of all these texts. So anything on the Dharma bit in today's age and time that you feel makes sense to us. Otherwise, you can come back to this question.
नहीं, देखो ऐसा है कि ना, मेरे को ऐसा लगता है that moral conscience ना बदली नहीं है पिछले 10,000 सालों में. मतलब और and it is jurisdiction and religion agnostic. मतलब कोई भी, मतलब आज से 10,000 साल पहले भी बोलते थे कि झूठ बोलना पाप है, वो आज भी यही बोलते हैं. झूठ, चोरी करना पाप है, आज भी वही है. हर रिलीजन में है. तो मॉरल कंपस तो सेम ही है, वो नहीं बदला. मॉरल कॉन्शियंस भी नहीं बदली. हम सबको मालूम है, हाँ झूठ बोलना पाप है, हाँ चोरी करना भी खराब है, राइट? किसी को धोखा देना भी गलत बात है. तो इसमें आपको आई डोंट थिंक एनीबडी नीड्स टू रीड अ टेक्स्ट टू से कि ये मैं ठीक कर रहा हूँ कि नहीं, क्योंकि आपका मॉरल कंपस आपका है, राइट? तो आपको कोई भी किसी को कैसे कोई ज्ञान दे सकता है कि ये जो तुमने किया ना, ये ठीक नहीं किया, राइट? क्योंकि ये उसका मॉरल कंपस है, राइट? सम पीपल नाउ से कि भाई 4 साल का बच्चा है, मरने वाला है, उसको आप बताओगे थोड़े ही, उसको तो आप झूठ ही बोलोगे ना कि बेटा सब ठीक हो जाएगा, राइट? सो झूठ बोलना क्या सही में पाप है? Not always, right? So who the hell is going to tell you and who can tell you कि आप ठीक कर रहे हैं कि आप गलत कर रहे हैं? ये आपको मॉरल कंपस सारे ह्यूमैनिटी का सेम है, मॉरल कॉन्शियंस सेम है. तो आप खुद अपने आप को कैलिब्रेट कर लीजिए कि हाँ मैं यहाँ झूठ बोलूंगा, आई एम कंफर्टेबल डूइंग दिस बिकॉज आई थिंक दिस इज वेयर इट इज मेरिटेड, राइट? आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू टेल अ डाइंग पर्सन, ये मेरी मर्यादा है ही नहीं. कईयों की मर्यादा ये हो सकती है कि नहीं, मतलब if someone's dying you should tell them, so yeah, so they are prepared for it.
Yeah.
अब there is no right or wrong,
Hmm.
right? So
Makes sense.
every individual is going to decide. So basically, I think everybody has to just sit for some time, every day maybe, and think of what kind of a person they want to be.
Hmm.
And then just be that person. If a person says ki nahi, I want to be the person who will not tell a dying person that he's dying, that is
Hmm.
fine. You can
Yeah.
set your maryada like that.
Yeah.
Then there is no lying to it or whatever. It is your मर्यादा कि हाँ आपने झूठ बोला है बट चल जाएगा. ये आपकी
Yeah.
मर्यादा पे ये ठीक बैठ रहा है, राइट? आपको कोई नहीं
Yeah.
बोल सकता.
And I think then it also helps in taking the responsibility of our own choices also, no?
Hmm,
Like whatever we choose this way. So even if like something goes awry, at least now we are more prepared because it was our choice, and this is like what we defined us to be. You know, even in in context of like a moral compass or like how did we want to be as a person, because you've defined it.
एग्जैक्टली.
There's more peace in the
हाँ.
the action that comes because of that.
तो अब देखो ये आजकल ना लेटेस्ट यंगस्टर्स में चल रहा है ना, इट्स कॉल्ड पॉली एमोरस,
Yeah,
राइट?
it's so funny you're mentioning this. Just yesterday, I was having a conversation with somebody in regards to this. Yeah, yeah,
राइट. सो अब ये तो आपकी मर्यादा है. अब कोई
yeah.
कैसे
Yeah,
बोल सकता है कि आप पॉली एमोरस हैं? देखिए ये तो बहुत गलत बात है. So
correct.
you are going to be like Krishna was polyamorous, Dashrath was
Yeah,
polyamorous. तो
yeah,
गलत क्यों है? क्योंकि आपने ये बोला है, मतलब obviously you can't have multiple wives, it's legally not allowed,
yeah,
but that's a law aside.
correct. Correct.
But as a person, right? Now polyamorous में प्रॉब्लम कहाँ आएगी? प्रॉब्लम शायद यहाँ आएगी कि अगर आप अपने मल्टीपल पार्टनर्स को ये बता के ना रखें कि आप
Correct.
पॉलीएमोरस हैं,
Correct. Correct.
आप
Correct.
उनको धोखे में रखें, तो
Correct.
वो शायद गलत होगा, शायद.
Correct.
बट
Correct.
पॉलीएमोरस होना क्या गलत है? एज लॉन्ग एज यू आर comfortable with it, it is your
And I think
choice,
you're not hurting other people, like you said, when you're not keeping them in the dark, when you're not keeping them in the gray. They
right?
also know what is happening with them, and I'm assuming that they would have made a consensual choice to be a part of
Correct,
this.
correct.
Then it's
So
not wrong.
so
Yeah.
who's going to tell you this that no no this is wrong? ये कौन ज्ञानी है जिसको सब मालूम
Exactly.
है कि आपके लिए क्या
Right.
सही है क्या गलत है? सो फॉर अ पॉलीएमोरस पर्सन ही कैन से कि भाई मेरी मर्यादा पे ये सेट है, मैं किसी को धोखा नहीं देता, मैं किसी को वो नहीं करता, मैं आई एम फाइन विद इट, मेरे कर्म है, बेनिफिट
Right.
भी मेरा है, सफरिंग भी मेरी है, राइट?
Right.
इफ यू आर गोइंग टू टेल मी दैट आई एम गोइंग टू सफर एंड गोइंग टू डाई अ लोनली डेथ बिकॉज I will never find one true love, I am okay with that
Okay.
end. It is my कर्म. तो मैं ये कर सकते हैं हम,
Right.
राइट?
Yeah.
अब
Makes
आपको
sense.
बाकी लोग तो आपको सिर्फ ज्ञान ही दे सकते हैं. अच्छा आप सिगरेट पीते हैं, ये तो बहुत बुरी बात है. हाँ भाई बुरी बात है, यू आर किलिंग योर सेल्फ, बट इफ आई एम ओके किलिंग माई
Yeah.
सेल्फ,
Yeah.
it's not illegal. But when a person decides to be an alcoholic or a smoker, right? Can anybody else actually tell or change his mind? Because it is
No,
so
that's
internal.
absolutely.
It's karmic in the sense that you have to accept it also, no? In the sense that, like, supposing if I'm a smoker, right? Now I could be the most devout person on the planet. I could be the most honest, I could be like, Ram incarnate, right?
Mm-hmm.
But still, nobody can save me from the suffering that will come from smoking.
Yeah. Correct.
क्योंकि वो मेरे कर्म है,
Yeah. Correct. Correct. Correct.
राइट? तो मैं कुछ भी कर लूं, मैं दुनिया की सबसे अच्छी इंसान हो सकती हूँ, लेकिन कैंसर से शायद मुझे कोई नहीं बचा सकता, क्योंकि
हाँ.
कर्म मेरे हैं,
Correct. 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 And I
राइट?
think it's as simple as what you are saying कि अगर तुम उसका रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी और उसका ओनर्स लेने को रेडी हो तो फिर ठीक है, तुम किसी और के ज्ञान से करोगे क्या? गुड और बैड तो फिर कोई डेफिनेशन ही नहीं है. आई थिंक इज व्हाट यू आर ट्राइंग टू से.
एंड बेसिकली इफ आई चूज टू स्मोक देन आई कैनॉट बी ब्लेमिंग एनीथिंग एनीवन एल्स कि हाय मैं बीमार क्यों हो गई, मैं तो इतनी अच्छी थी, मैंने तो
हाँ.
इतना दान पुण्य का काम किया है, मैंने तो
Got
आज
it.
तक किसी को दुख नहीं पहुंचाया है. इट्स लाइक बहन जी आपने सिगरेट तो पी थी, सो
Oh,
यू
that's
हैव
something so nice that you have said. हमारी लाइफ में कुछ एक चीज प्रॉब्लम होती है तो हमें लगता है अरे बट वी आर सो गुड इन दी 10 other things.
हाँ
Why
अरे
is this thing going wrong? अरे but for that thing only you look at the action that you may have taken, which has caused this reaction. Oh, that's very nice put. Yeah.
या
Okay.
सो
Interesting.
आप कैसे बचोगे अपने कर्म से? कौन
Correct.
बचाएगा?
Correct. Correct. Correct.
पूजा पाठ से
Yeah.
थोड़ी बच सकते हो.
Yeah, and I think our generation anyway, has a habit of being a lot more whiny when it comes to these things. Ki, no, we are so good otherwise. Why is this going wrong? But I think this puts things into perspective at least.
राइट तो
Yeah.
ये एक्सेप्ट करना चाहिए ना एंड दिस ओनली कम्स व्हेन यू आर सिटिंग बाय योरसेल्फ एंड यू आर जजिंग योरसेल्फ विद अ मतलब हम लोग ना जज ज्यूरी और जल्लाद बन जाते हैं दूसरे के एक्शन पे कि अरे यार ये ऑफिस नहीं आया ये कामचोर है ये है ये वो है हम ये सारी चीजें बोल देते हैं राइट बट द पॉइंट इज हाउ इज दैट गोइंग टू हेल्प यू
Yeah.
राइट वो उसका डिसीजन है
Right.
your decision as a boss can only be कि यार this guy is not good for the company or whatever
Correct.
and you have to let the person go.
Correct. Correct.
रेव रेंट करने से क्या होगा तो जज ज्यूरी जल्लाद दूसरों पे नहीं अपने पे बन जाए कि भाई मैं वाई एम आई डूइंग अ जज ज्यूरी जल्लाद कि ये आदमी गंदा है क्योंकि ये ऑफिस नहीं आता अरे भाई ऑफिस नहीं आता उसकी मर्जी जाने दो उसे राइट आप अपना जज ज्यूरी जल्लाद तो करो पहले एंड अपने पे जज ज्यूरी जल्लाद बनना is the most difficult because आईना कौन देखना चाहता है
Right. No, that is true. I have a lot of
it's very
people
difficult.
also sometimes via tarot when I tell them because they expect all solutions in tarot. I'm like, it doesn't work like that. It's only like a small insight. You have to go to therapy. You have to speak to the right people for that. And I literally have messages from certain clients, who would say, I hate you for recommending me therapy because now I have to confront myself.
Yeah.
So it becomes so difficult for them to be able to confront themselves in therapy that they sometimes, literally send me messages like that, why did you get me into this and this whole, journey of like self-reflection and like finding yourself.
But that is where the change really begins because if
I
you
think
change
so too.
yourself, everything else changes around
Yeah.
you. Right. So, again, I find this so amazing how it works out in the sense that if you decide
Yeah.
that फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ यू डिसाइड दैट फॉर यू मैरिज की मर्यादा है कि आप ऑनेस्ट होंगे लविंग होंगे इंटेंस होंगे सब कुछ होंगे राइट देन इफ यू चूज टू वॉक आउट ऑफ अ मैरिज दैट डजंट हैव दीज थिंग्स राइट यू आर वेरी कंफर्टेबल विद योर सेल्फ देन नोबडी कैन टेल यू कि अरे यार कॉम्प्रोमाइज कर लेना बिकॉज आपने कॉम्प्रोमाइज किया तो आप फिर दुखी हैं So as a person, do you want to be the person who's perpetually dukhi and compromising?
Yeah. Makes
Right?
sense. Correct.
So it's the same thing. आपको कोई नौकरी है, आपकी मैरिज है, आपके रिलेशनशिप्स हैं, आपकी फ्रेंडशिप्स हैं, राइट? आजकल ये नया फंडामेंटल मैंने आज पहली बार अब भी सुना है पिछले 2-3 महीनों में दैट दीज यंगस्टर्स आर सेइंग कि वी हैव पार्टी फ्रेंड्स बट वी डोंट हैव फ्रेंड्स आई सेड ये क्या होता है I said they said we have people we party with but they're not friends that we can actually share with. So now my point is, are we doing this because it's acceptable or because it makes you look cool that I do have slotted in friends and personal or party friends? Do you really want to be that person?
Yeah, correct.
Right? Or do you want to be कि भाई 2 friends हैं लेकिन ऐसे हैं कि actual friends
it's also coming from this is a discussion I've had with a lot of people of late. I think it's also coming from the fact that these days people do not have their basics or their values in place.
There is no right or wrong. I mean, if it works for you, it works for you. But my thing is that our basic duty, I think, is towards ourselves. अगर हम इवॉल्व नहीं कर रहे और जरूरी नहीं है कि हमें स्पिरिचुअली इवॉल्व करना है हम इंटेलेक्चुअली इवॉल्व कर सकते हैं हम वी कैन बिकम बेटर ह्यूमन बीइंग्स राइट तो कंपनी ऐसी होनी चाहिए राइट आप फिर उनको दोस्ती ना बोलें आप उनको बोलें कि यार आई वेंट आउट फॉर ड्रिंक्स विद कॉलीग्स राइट बिकॉज आई फेल्ट लाइक हैविंग अ ड्रिंक इन द कंपनी ऑफ ह्यूमन बीइंग्स राइट
what you make sense that just because you needed people then you just call it like that, don't term it as friendship or something more which is supposed to have more value driven aspect to it, which is either you're growing with them, learning from them, or they are there for your emotional support. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, and as a person I decide कि भाई ऐसा है कि समय कम है कभी भी मौत आ सकती है तो जितना समय है I want to spend it enjoying myself, for example. Now this enjoyment could mean I want to go for a movie, right? Now if I can't find someone, should I not go for a movie alone? Is going because मेरे को तो सिर्फ पिक्चर देखनी थी उसमें मेरे को कंपनी नहीं मैटर करती। या मेरे पास 2 घंटे हैं, मैं 2 घंटे ना कुछ बकवास कर सकती हूँ किसी के साथ बैठ के, माइंडलेस हा हा हु, और वापस आके फिर उसको सोच सकती हूँ कि यार मैंने गलत तो नहीं बोला, कहीं उसने गलत तो नहीं समझा। या मैं ऐसे के साथ जा सकती हूँ जिसके सामने जो मर्जी बोलो देखी जाएगी, आई डोंट हैव टू थिंक अबाउट इट,
Right.
right? Because we already are living in a high pressure zone.
Right.
So
Correct.
if we are not going to unwind ever,
Yeah.
then it's going to be a problem,
Correct. But then this
right?
also makes me feel, Gunjan, there is so much of self-reflection to do on a day-to-day basis also.
Absolutely, you're your best friend.
Examples that you're giving, they're so relatable that anybody who's watching this right now, they must be like, हाँ हाँ ये मेरे साथ भी हुआ है. So there's so
So
much of self-reflection to do on a day-to-day basis.
so you have to just kind of, I think, just have to believe that I am a lovely human being, right? I am a perfect human being. I am my best friend,
Yeah.
right? And I am going to spend time with myself,
Hmm.
talking, thinking, reflecting,
Hmm.
right? So spend some time
Yeah.
with yourself every day. I'm not saying become isolated, because
Yeah.
that could also be dangerous,
Yeah. Yeah.
because there is no one to check you कि ये गलत सोच रही है यार तू,
Correct. Correct.
so you need a friend also, you need a course correction also, right? So but sometime पहले सवाल तो आए, फिर तो
Correct.
अपने दोस्त से पूछा जाए कि यार ये मैं ऐसे सोच रही हूँ, गलत सोच रही हूँ क्या, एंड देन द फ्रेंड विल से कि यार देख ऐसे भी सोच सकती है,
Right. Right. Right.
राइट? बट वो
Yeah.
सवाल तक तो पहुंचो कि
Correct, correct, correct. You do
ऐसा
need more
मतलब,
time with your own self so that everything
yeah,
else which is already distracting as it is not distracting you enough from the main questions of your life for your own self.
फॉर योर ओन सेल्फ यू
Correct,
हैव टू डिसाइड हु यू वांट टू बी, कि यार मैं ना ऐसी दोस्त हूँ, मैं
correct,
ऐसी बेटी हूँ, ऐसी माँ हूँ, ऐसी बीवी हूँ,
correct,
मैं ऐसी एम्प्लॉय हूँ, एंड मैं कंफर्टेबल हूँ, ये मेरी मर्यादा सेट हो
correct.
गई है,
And
सो आई
as
एम कंफर्टेबल विद
I
दैट.
really feel that, once a person sits and have this sort of a conversation and does the whole little bit of journey of evolution also, because I feel their first answer may change a little bit to, their final answer, because as they start
राइट,
realizing things in their life, I think there's so much of peace in that. Like,
या
as you were saying this only, I literally felt कि हाँ ये हो जाए सबके लिए, तो like everybody would be so much at peace.
या बिकॉज यू कैन डू एनीथिंग.
Yeah,
थैंकफुली हिंदुइज्म
yeah,
में ये बोला नहीं जाता है कि नहीं, बाल लंबे रखो, छोटे मत रखो,
yeah.
ये मत करो, एक एक स्पाउस
Very
होना चाहिए,
flexible,
चार
yeah,
चार, हाँ चार, इट्स सो फ्लेक्सिबल.
yeah,
हिंदुइज्म में इतने सारे, तो मेरे को आई ऑल्सो फील दैट इतने सारे भगवान और देवी देवता ना हिंदुइज्म में इसलिए भी होते हैं, because I think Hinduism is a philosophy which realizes that every human being is different. They are carrying a karmic baggage, right? So you cannot, one size will not fit all. So you will find resonance with a lot of other people, and I think it's a philosophical way of saying that every human being is divine. तो अगर आप हिंदुइज्म में देखोगे ना, तो आपको दारू पीना पसंद है ना, तो आपको कोई भगवान मिल जाएगा जो
yeah.
दारू
That's
का
why
प्रसाद
people
चढ़ता
tell
है,
us Bhairu Baba, na? I think he used
राइट
to
राइट. यू आर यू वांट, मतलब आपको कोई ना कोई ऐसे भगवान में, खाना पसंद है तो गणेश जी तो है ही ना, तो ठीक है, खाना
correct,
पसंद, बीइंग अ फूडी इज फाइन,
yeah, correct,
right? Let's not call it gluttony, which is a
yeah,
sin in other
yeah,
religions, right? बट सो आपका ना कहीं रेजोनेंस हो जाता है, आपको बिल्कुल राम का एकदम स्ट्रेट जैकेटेड अप्रोच नहीं पसंद, तो कृष्ण है, राइट? वो हर जगह एडजस्ट कर लेते हैं कि अच्छा चलो ये अश्वत्थामा मारा गया, थोड़ा झूठ भी बोल लेते हैं, थोड़ा रुक्मिणी को भी भगा लेते हैं,
right.
so you can find resonance there also.
No, but what
Then
you
there
said
is,
is actually very nice that, maybe so many gods is actually just, tell us that every human being is different.
is different and is divine.
Yeah, is
तो
divine.
ऐसा हमारे किसी भी भगवान को थप्पड़ नहीं मारा गया है कि तूने ये क्यों, तुम अल्कोहल क्यों प्रसाद में खा रहे हो, या तुम
Right,
इतना खाना क्यों खाते हो,
right, right.
या या तुमने अपने सांप क्यों गले में टांग रखे हैं.
Correct,
वी
correct.
डोंट जज. आर गॉड्स आर एविडेंस ऑफ दिस
Correct,
फैक्ट दैट वी डोंट
correct,
जज.
correct.
You can be anything.
Yeah, this is very flexible. That is true. This,
You are inclined towards the arts, तो सरस्वती है. You are
yeah,
you are inclined towards materialism, तो लक्ष्मी है, राइट? यू
that is
नेम
right.
इट, वी हैव इट.
Yeah,
जो
that
भी
is
आप जो भी आपकी नेचुरल टेंडेंसी है, क्योंकि आप कार्मिक बैगेज लेके चल रहे हैं.
right.
अगर आप मटेरियलिस्टिक है तो ये शायद कार्मिक बैगेज आया है पीछे से, राइट? आपको पैसा पसंद है, लेकिन इसको भी हम ये नहीं कहते कि पापी तेरे को पैसा क्यों पसंद है, अरे भाई लक्ष्मी पूजा करता है, करने दो,
करने दो, right.
राइट।
Because anyway, what
आपको
you were saying now,
बिल्कुल ही,
as you're carrying the karmic baggage, and if you just realize a little bit about your dharma, your maryada, तो suffering तो तुम्हें उसमें भी आएगी ही आएगी.
वो तो
But
आनी
you
है।
just more prepared in sense कि अब ये होगा तो ठीक है, I'm taking the onus of it.
हाँ
Hmm.
ठीक है, तो मतलब मेरे को पैसे पसंद है, मैं लक्ष्मी का पुजारी हूँ, मैं हूं
Right.
तो हूँ, राइट। हु इज गोइंग टू जज कि तू गंदा आदमी है? नोबडी
Right.
कैन जज,
Makes sense.
राइट।
Cool.
So nobody
Good one.
can judge, as long as you are happy being who you are, that's fine.
That's
Everyone's
really.
divine.
I do want to ask one more question from you, which I feel is the biggest problem in today's age and time. And sometimes even I go through it. Now, then I have to consciously tell myself not to do it. And any cues you can give from Ramayana also. The biggest problem that I feel we all experience since the start only, or आजकल ना in the social media comparative age बहुत ज़्यादा हो गया है, that you're not able to take the blame inwards. The blame is
Hmm.
always outwards, and within this I also feel a small leg is also the whole comparative attitude that we have with other human beings कि उसके पास ना उसका नेटवर्क ऐसा है इसलिए उसको अपॉर्चुनिटी बेटर मिली, उसका
Hmm.
बैकग्राउंड थोड़ा प्रिविलेज्ड है इसलिए ऐसा हुआ, instead of just shifting it all inwards and seeing that with what I have what can I do. And the same comes to the blame also. Is there anything you can like help us understand on this?
You know, इसमें ना मेरे को हमेशा ये लगता है कि इसका कोई जवाब नहीं है, क्योंकि आपको नहीं मालूम कि आपका कार्मिक बैगेज क्या है। इसमें ना
Okay.
एक बहुत ही अच्छी सी स्टोरी है, that
हाँ.
there was this boy who was like the best son, best friend, best husband throughout. And at this, and he was doing really well professionally. But क्या हुआ कि around, in his late 20s, he met with an accident and both his legs got amputated. And all his friends, family could not figure it out कि ये कैसे हुआ, right? For a person that good. So they took him to a Guruji who had this whatever power to look at his past. He said ये बचपन में ना ग्रास हॉपर्स की ना टांगे तोड़ता था।
Oh, मेरे को goosebumps आया as you said this. So okay.
हाँ, so he said कि ये वो कर्म है, that he's lost his legs. बचपन में बच्चों ने कभी सोचा नहीं कि ये उड़ जाएगा तो चलो टांग तोड़ देते हैं, यहीं बैठा रहेगा। Lots of kids do it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, the point is that we do not see the karmic baggage. There's another story which is actually quite nice. So there was this lady who was very nice and everything. She had one daughter who passed away. So obviously she went into depression. The mother, her only child, passed away. So the story goes that she developed cataract. And she said कि मुझे ऑपरेशन नहीं करवाना क्योंकि कुछ रहा ही नहीं जिंदगी में देखने, बिटिया चली गई। I don't want to see the world. So they said fine. So then she met a Guruji and Guruji said कि तुमको नहीं करवाना, तुम ये चाह रही हो कि मुझे दुनिया देखनी नहीं है अब। He said अभी कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, but this desire may manifest that you are born blind in your next life.
Oh.
Right? So, we don't know what the karmic baggage is. We don't know what we desired, we don't know what we said.
Wow. Wow,
We
yeah.
we don't know what we
It's
thought.
like that, yeah.
So we don't know this. So for me it is always important, और मैं हमेशा ये सोचती हूँ कि यार अब देखो जो पीछे का है, कर्म किए थे, पिछले जन्म के हो, बचपन के हो, मुझे नहीं पता कि मैंने किसी ग्रास हॉपर की टांग तोड़ी है कि नहीं, याद नहीं मुझे, राइट? या मैंने किसी को दुख पहुंचाया है कि नहीं, मुझे नहीं याद, राइट? बट जो भी है वो सफर तो करना ही है। बट because I can't go back and clean my past, what I can do is take a decision today कि आज से ना I'm going to be very mindful in what I am thinking,
Yeah.
what I am speaking, what I am doing, so that जो पीछे का है वो तो क्लीन होगा ही होगा, लेकिन कम से कम मुझे ये मालूम है कि कभी ना कभी जाके ना अच्छे दिन आएंगे।
Right.
Because I have started cleaning my karma from today.
Yeah, makes sense.
Right? The cycle will come for this from today. I can only control today. I cannot control what I did back then.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So वो तो मुझे सफर करना ही है। अगर मैंने कुछ किया है, मैंने किसी को दुख पहुंचाया है, किसी को चोट पहुंचाई है, किसी से चोरी की है, whatever I have done, past life, early life, childhood, I don't remember a thing.
Yeah, yeah.
right? What I have done inadvertently,
Yeah. So it is
right?
only from now that you can hope for a better
I
present and of course like a even better future by
तो
cleaning up your way of
राइट तो
your
इसके लिए बहुत जरूरी है कि मैं आई एम इन द मिडल ऑफ सफरिंग येट आई विल चूज टू डू द राइट थिंग एंड आई क्लीन माई कर्म क्योंकि जब आप मिडल ऑफ सफरिंग होते हो ना तो वहां पे आपका सबसे ज्यादा वो आता है चांस दैट यू विल
you
रेप्लिकेट द
might
बैड
do it.
कर्म
Hmm, hmm.
राइट तो अगर मेरे को अपॉर्चुनिटी नहीं मिल रही है तो मैं झूठ बोल के अपॉर्चुनिटी ले लूंगी तो फिर वो
Hmm.
आपने कर्म क्लीन किए नहीं एंड यू विल कंटिन्यू सफरिंग तो वो
Right.
एक वो कहते हैं ना कि जैसे ना कि कोई भी एडिक्शन है बेटा एक हफ्ता मन बांध लो कि
Hmm, hmm,
बहुत तकलीफ होगी लेकिन मैं छूंगा नहीं
hmm, hmm.
अल्कोहल को दैट्स व्हाट दे डू राइट कि बुरी आदत है बस एक हफ्ता मन बांध लो विल पावर
Correct,
दिखा लो
correct, correct.
राइट तकलीफ होगी फिजिकली यूल हैव विड्रॉल सिम्टम्स बट छूट जाएगी आदत ना तो फिर बाद में ठीक हो जाएगा सो कर्म इज ऑल्सो लाइक दैट कि आई एम इन द मिडल ऑफ अ क्राइसिस आई एम इन द मिडल ऑफ एवरीथिंग इज गोइंग टू हेल everything is not working out but still ना आज से ना मैं I'll be a nice human being I will clean my कर्म rather than just saying कि कुछ चल तो रहा नहीं है ऐसे ही चलती है चलो और झूठ बोले चलो और चार
Right.
लोगों को गाली बकें
But आप इसी में मुझे एक बात समझाओ usually when we are in the middle of the crisis that is when forget again the choices we make but that is when before we are making the choices also we just start shifting blame towards everything कि उसके चक्कर में मेरे को जॉब नहीं मिली उसके चक्कर में ये नहीं हुआ so is there anything that you can help us in understanding this because this is what I feel a lot of us struggle with most.
यार देखो इसका कोई वो तरीका नहीं है इन द सेंस आइदर देयर आर टू थ्योरीज या तो आप ये बोलो कि जो हुआ अच्छा हुआ अच्छे के
Okay,
लिए हुआ
okay,
मुझे नौकरी नहीं मिली ना समथिंग बेटर इज कमिंग अलोंग हैव
okay,
दैट फेथ
okay, okay.
राइट
Yeah.
भगवत गीता में लिखा है दैट जो हुआ है वो अच्छे के लिए हुआ है जो हो रहा है वो अच्छे के लिए हो रहा है जो होगा वो अच्छे के लिए होगा बट ये ना थ्योरी है
हाँ,
यू लूज अ लव्ड वन इसमें क्या अच्छा है
correct.
राइट
And not just that,
बट
sometimes you are in such a low in your life that no matter
या
what, just can't make sense of इसमें कुछ अच्छा नहीं है. Exactly like losing like a loved one, losing a
राइट
job in pandemic when you have like a family to feed and take care of. What is
करेक्ट
good in that? Yeah.
और दूसरा है कि यार पिछले जन्म का देना होगा चुक गया
Okay.
या इसका मेरे को फायदा मिलेगा so
Okay.
for example if somebody cheats you out of 500 bucks
Hmm. Hmm.
right one very easy way which I employ for myself is कि यार या तो यार मैंने 500 रुपए इसको देने थे तो चले
Hmm.
गए कहानी खत्म हो गई इट्स डन
Hmm.
राइट और ये ना 500 रुपए मुझे देगा अगले जन्म में
Hmm. Okay. But
राइट
this is like a nice mind hack also in terms of like just
या
calming down. So it's like the moment you start feeling blame towards somebody or something in your life, you can just
हाँ कि
use
भाई
things
चोरी करके
that
ले गया मेरे
tell
से
yourself हो जाएगा.
राइट
The balance
यू
will
हैव
be
अ
good.
राइट यू ब्रेक अप यू हैव अ बैड रिलेशनशिप यू से कि हाँ ठीक है यार पहले पिछले जन्म में मैंने तोड़ा होगा
Right.
राइट आई फाइंड इट वेरी इजी एंड कंफर्टिंग टू से कि ना एक उधार चुक गया
Okay. Yeah.
सो अब खत्म हो गया ये ना
Hmm.
आई
Hmm.
पेड माई ड्यू
Hmm. Hmm.
एंड
Right.
इफ दिस वाज नॉट coming from पीछे and this guy has now cheated me out of something I will get it
This is nice.
he
Even I'm gonna reply it. I'm gonna be like,
he will
because each time I go through something like that in life, so that at least I'm not getting to the blame game with anything.
so amongst all the texts and all the gyan and the gurus and everything, they've just given you two.
Hmm.
One is that, या तो कर्म थ्योरी पे जाएं, right? या सिर्फ वो डिवोशनल फेथ रखें, जैसे
Devotional.
तुम कह रही थी कि अनित्य है, कुछ नहीं है.
Right,
You,
right, right.
you are, it's just a movie playing, you are observing it कि हाँ
Arey,
आज
that
500
really
रुपए
helped
चले
me
गए.
also, pata hai, you will not believe when I walked into the airport, they had cancelled my flight. And because I just come out of Vipassana, so like, that's still
हाँ,
rubbing off on you and you're still like, theek hai, Nitya hai. I had to book a ticket on the airport, I mean at the airport, that very moment, which is triple the cost. But वो opportunity भी मेरे को तब मिली जब cancellation हुई. Otherwise, they had told me there are no flights back for the next 2 to 3 days. And I was going to be just there at the airport for no rhyme or reason, just because flight cancel हो गई और message मिला भी होगा तो phone off रहता है and all. So yeah, I mean, I think these theories or these texts or this way of like hacking into your mind, if I have to put it in today's modern context, I think it really helps.
हाँ
Because I kept telling
क्योंकि
myself during that time, कि Anitya, like this is temporary. A solution will come or whatever. Like, I can't react. And then exactly in like 2-3 minutes she comes to me and she's like, कि cancellation हुई है. Otherwise I could not have flown back the same very day, you know.
you know, I heard this lovely story which I would like to share of how the human mind works. कि एक
Yeah.
आदमी गया तो वो पहुंचा तो उसका ना घर में आग लगी हुई थी
Hmm.
एंड ही स्टार्टेड क्राइंग कि
Hmm.
लुट गए, बर्बाद हो गए, घर में आग लग गई, एंड
Hmm.
ही स्टार्टेड क्राइंग एंड बॉलिंग एंड ऑल दैट. सो वन ऑफ दिस नेबर्स कम्स, ही सेज, अरे साहब आप क्यों रो रहे हैं, आप तो थे नहीं यहाँ पे, आपके बेटे ने पता है कल घर बेच दिया. एंड ही सडनली स्टार्ट्स लाफिंग कि चलो
Oh.
ये तो घर तो बिक गया, तो मेरा तो घर है ही नहीं. ही स्टार्टेड लाफिंग कि हाँ हाँ ठीक है ठीक है. सडनली हिज सन कम्स, ही सेड आप हंस क्यों रहे हैं, घर जल रहा है. सो ही सेज कि नहीं वो तो तूने बेच दिया ना. ही सेड नहीं कल तो बात हुई थी, पैसे सौदा तो आज होना था. अगेन ही स्टार्ट्स क्राइंग.
Oh.
You know, so it's basically that thing. It is your
Yeah.
perception, क्योंकि घर भी
Perception.
वैसे ही जल रहा है, राइट. बट जहां आपका हुआ कि ये मेरा है तो वहां
Yeah.
आंसू है, मेरा
Yeah.
नहीं है तो आंसू नहीं है,
Yeah. That
राइट.
you
सो
know, there's a
इट्स
nice
जस्ट.
story in the discourses also that they shared in Vipassana. So Guruji said, ki, you know, if I have a very expensive watch, if it falls and if it breaks, then I'm like, oh, my such expensive watch broke, so and so money had spent, I had traveled all the way across the globe to get this watch. कहता, but the same when it's happening to my friend, उसकी expensive watch टूटी, then instead I'm giving yarn that you should have been more careful, na? You should have put it on tightly. So he's like that it's all about my and the perception. That, you
दैट्स
know,
ऑल.
fine, I want to cry for that. And it's also about the perception of how you look at things. मेरे friend की watch टूटी, then I'm not crying. I'm instead giving yarn. Careful रहना था.
राइट.
उतार के क्यों नहीं रखी timely?
और छोड़ो, मोह माया छोड़ो, तुम्हारी खुशी से ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट तो नहीं है ना घड़ी. यू नो ऑल दैट.
Right, and then we have attachment with all everything, but the moment it happens to somebody, it's like, अरे नहीं रे, सब ऐसी attach होने से क्या फायदा? All materialistic, सब मोह माया है. Like,
हाँ, अब यू नो लाइफ इज सो गुड, बच्चे हैं, घर में प्यार मोहब्बत है, दैट इज वैल्यूएबल.
yeah.
ओके.
Correct.
सो दैट्स व्हाट आई एम सेइंग कि अपने
Yeah.
पे भी जज जुरी जल्लाद बन जाएं दूसरों की जगह.
Right,
दूसरों को कंट्रोल तो कर नहीं सकते,
right, right.
सो यू माइट
Okay.
एज वेल जस्ट लेट इट बी.
I also have my next question now, which is just to understand again from his life or from anything that you want to share with us in regards to how do we as humans get out of the rut of complaining or negative thinking, where we do start taking things very personally. मुझे कहा या मेरे साथ ही ऐसा होता है. Like I've often heard my clients would also say, those who get tarot done, they would say, अरे यार जैसी पैसे आते हैं मेरे पास सभी के साथ भी कुछ खर्चा करने के लिए आ जाता है. The mindset is such that the moment I get money, मैं एक हाथ से लेती हूँ, एक हाथ से देती हूँ, so it's never like I'm settled. So this whole rut of complaining or negative thinking or taking things personally, if there's anything that you might want to, share on that.
It's basically just spending time with yourself and मतलब the point is कि अगर आप किसी को 500 रुपए दे रहे हैं, तनख्वाह दे रहे हैं फॉर एग्जाम्पल, तो आप इसको खुशी भी देख सकते हैं कि यार आज ना मेरी वजह से किसी के घर में खाना बनेगा या उसके बच्चे स्कूल जाएंगे. या आप ये कह सकते हैं कि यार ये बहुत एक्सपेंसिव है यार, काम तो करता नहीं है, बस तनख्वाह इसकी ज्यादा है. इट इज अप टू यू, राइट. एंड द डिसीजन टू कीप दैट एम्प्लॉई इज ऑल्सो योर्स. That salary is also yours. You want the comfort of a driver, yet you don't want to pay, right? So this is basically decide what kind of a person you want to be. If you want to hold on to money, right? तो वो आपके कर्म है कि मैं पैसे मेरे हाथ से निकलने नहीं चाहिए. उसका कर्म का आपका जो सफरिंग है या जो भी रिजल्ट है वो ये होने वाला है कि आप गाड़ी खुद चलाएंगे, आप झाड़ू पोछा खुद लगाएंगे.
Looking for parking and struggling with parking, little things like that.
हाँ, आप कीजिए और पैसा बचाइए, ड्राइवर का कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. बट आप ये नहीं कह सकते कि मेरे को ये सारी बेनिफिट भी चाहिए लेकिन मैं ना वो कर्म नहीं करना चाहता जिससे ये बेनिफिट आएंगे. चॉइस आपकी है.
What about those who could be perpetual negative thinkers? जैसे कुछ लोग होते हैं ना, वो कहते हैं अरे मेरे साथ तो कभी कुछ अच्छा होता ही नहीं है, my life is only so sad, nothing is I mean, is there anything you would want to tell them? Because I feel there's so many of them like out there who are just like constantly complaining, cribbing from everything. Boyfriend nahi hai, I don't have love in my life, I don't have the right job, I don't know what I want to do, my parents never loved me, I don't know what I'm doing, and it's just like they find anything to complain about.
यार इसका ना कोई जवाब नहीं है अदर देन डिसाइड हु यू वांट टू बी। मेरा ना इसमें हमेशा एग्जाम्पल ये रहता है कि you know what is the rock bottom? Rock
Yeah,
bottom is that you don't perceive the world, right?
yeah,
You perceive the world in from your four five senses. You can see, you can touch, you can smell, taste, whatever, right? आपके फाइव सेंसेस हैं। अगर वो फाइव सेंसेस खत्म हो जाए, supposing are you have a disease that
yeah,
you go blind and you can't speak, you can't hear, you can't taste,
yeah.
all your so the world technically ends for you,
Hmm.
right? But do you still die? You don't, right? Which means that there is something inside you which is far bigger
Hmm.
than the world that you are perceiving.
Hmm.
तो लोग कोमा में होते हैं,
Hmm.
उनके दिमाग में क्या चल रहा होता है? ना वो
Right,
देख सकते हैं, ना वो कुछ स्मेल कर सकते हैं। All their senses are gone. They are in coma, but they are
right,
not dead,
right.
right? So my thing is that you were never loved by your parents. Sure, okay. You've not found love. Okay. You don't have a good job. Okay. All these things are how you're perceiving the world. But
Yeah,
aren't you bigger than all of that?
yeah, yeah. Actually, that's a very nice perspective, because मुझे लगता है कभी कभार हम इतना ग्रॉस माइंडसेट में हो जाते हैं दैट बस जो सामने है अभी वही है दैट वी स्टार्ट not seeing, the BTS, like the behind the scenes of the world, and apart from just कि अच्छा मेरे सामने बस अभी मेरी लव
What's
लाइफ
the worst that can happen? Huh.
राइट
What's the worst that can happen?
राइट राइट
Right?
राइट राइट
So, matlab, if you're going to never find love in your life, then yes, aspire to be Ramakrishna Paramhans or a Vivekananda. Why are we not aspiring to becoming that? Right? I've never seen them crib ki we don't have love in our life.
yeah. And if you want to, and if you really want to find somebody, then maybe just make the right effort. Like उसमें भी जो तुम्हें लगता है अपना experiences को लेके learn and unlearn करो and try and understand that, okay, what is the process of maybe finding the right love? Does that make sense?
Process of love is also the point is why are you not finding love? We are divine. Why should I not find love?
Hmm. Hmm.
I am as good as you are. How come
Yeah.
you find love and I don't?
Yeah.
Right? So why? Because there is something bigger waiting
Right.
to happen.
Oh yeah.
Right? It's not as if I'm not lovable. I'm
Of
as good,
course.
bad,
Yeah.
ugly, indifferent
Yeah.
as you are. Right? I've just not found the one. I
Right.
will.
Right.
And even if I don't, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, this is a good way of looking at it, that, if something is not working out for you, so firstly, there's no fault in you. So you don't have to discount yourself for it. And secondly, maybe it will work out in its right time. इसको ना टैरो में डिवाइन टाइमिंग कहते हैं, जब भगवान चाहेंगे तब होगा. So it will maybe
और मैं
happen.
तो कह रही हूँ कि नहीं भी होगा तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है.
Exactly. And if it doesn't happen, then maybe that's how it was meant to be, again, for something good or for something bigger in your life. I think you just need to be a, मुझे पता है कभी का क्या लगता है, you just need to be like a bystander to your own life. कि अच्छा अब ये हो
Yeah,
गया, ओके देखते हैं, ये हो गया देखते हैं.
correct. And while being a bystander, just be a judge, jury, जल्लाद कि ये सही नहीं सोच रही हो.
Hmm. Hmm.
You know, you are trying to get into a relationship with this guy only because or you're trying to get married because there is so much social pressure कि oh 30 साल की हो गई शादी नहीं
Yeah.
हुई.
Yeah.
That is no marriage.
Yeah.
That should not be a reason to get married.
Yeah. 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 That's
Marriage should only happen when you find your soulmate, find love.
right.
If you
Right.
get
But
married for pressure, then you
yeah.
don't expect to be happy, right?
Correct. And it will eventually will actually get on to you.
नहीं,
Get
तो
caught on.
आपने पहले प्रेशर में, सोशल प्रेशर, पेरेंटल प्रेशर में शादी की, उसके बाद आप कह रहे हो कि सोलमेट नहीं है. अरे तो
Not
वेट कहाँ
just
किया
that,
था?
I guess many questioning about the responsibilities that they have to choose. And I'm like, but did you not make the choice of getting married? The responsibility तो आनी ही थी.
नहीं, वो उस समय तो था ना कि आई हैव यंगस्टर्स टेलिंग मी ना कि बड़ा रहता है कि सारे दादी जी कह रही है कि तुम तो बस सिर्फ सहेलियों की शादी अटेंड करोगी, तुम्हारी शादी नहीं होगी. तो वो प्रेशर बिल्डअप हो गया. मैंने कहा तुम्हारा दिमाग खराब है, पढ़े लिखे लोग
Yeah.
हो.
Yeah.
राइट.
Yeah. I totally agree with you. I'm totally with you on that.
So it's kind of strange. It's why the weakness, why
Yeah.
this, and it only happens because you don't know yourself.
Yeah.
You have not decided who you want to be,
Hmm.
right? The day you decide this, nobody can tell you कि अरे तेरी शादी नहीं हुई, अरे तेरे बच्चे नहीं हुए, अरे तेरी नौकरी नहीं चल रही.
Yeah.
Nobody can tell you because you are comfortable कि मैं this is who I am and this
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And
Correct.
even if you decide that I want to be a person who's happily married, you can be rest assured it will happen.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean because I think once you just accept yourself as it is, I think the world anyway also starts to move
Yeah.
around and clutter doesn't really affect you anymore then.
No.
Okay, tell me also something. Does Ramayana say anything about forgiveness? Because I think a
Yes,
lot of
absolutely.
people use this in our life. So anything that you want to tell us about that?
यार forgiveness की तो मतलब stories ही stories हैं रामायण में,
One story or any
right?
stories which are your favorite?
Ahilya is the biggest story. I mean,
Okay.
though Ram forgave everyone from Manthara to Kekai to Ravan to, Shupnakha, everyone was forgiven
Yeah, I
by
think
him.
Ramayana is really teaches us a lot about
Uh,
forgiveness. So
but
everybody
Ahilya is a,
is
yeah,
forgiven.
but Ahilya is the biggest story because
Yeah.
Ahilya was, in that times, socially, it is said that she committed adultery. Right? And there is one version of the story which says that she deliberately and knowingly committed adultery. It wasn't
You can
a
tell the story.
mistake. So the story is that she was married to Rishi Gautam and then she was very beautiful. Rishi Gautam was much older than her and obviously not interested because he was on a spiritual path and all that. And then she started getting courted by Indra, who was very good looking. So she kind of gave in and because she wanted to experience. So Rishi Gautam found out and he cursed her that you are going to turn into stone.
Okay.
At which time, then the qualifier was that when Ram comes, then your curse will end. So for me, this story is all about कि Hinduism में ना वो burning in hell forever नहीं है.
Okay.
Unlike other religions नहीं है.
Okay.
Every curse, every curse has a set period.
Okay.
तो वो कहते हैं कि अगर आप नर्क में भी गए हैं ना तो आप अपने सेट पीरियड अपने कर्मों के लिए भुगतान करेंगे, फिर आप स्वर्ग जाएंगे, फिर आप स्वर्ग में कुछ दिन रहेंगे, मजे लेंगे, उसके बाद आप वापस ह्यूमन बीइंग बन जाएंगे. दिस इज व्हाट हिंदुइज्म सेज रियली, राइट? सो देयर इज नथिंग कि ऐसा आप कितना भी हेनस क्राइम कर लें, ऐसा नहीं है कि आपकी जिंदगी खत्म, अब आप नर्क में जाएंगे और आप मतलब फॉर एवर यू आर गोइंग टू बर्न इन हेल.
मैंने कोई
नो.
क्राइम करे नहीं है, but this is a relief to know.
Yeah, but every curse
Yeah.
has a end date.
End it. Okay. Okay.
So आपकी सफरिंग लिमिटेड है,
Okay.
कितना भी गंदा आपने कोई काम क्यों ना किया हो. So ये दिस इज वन थिंग आई लव अबाउट हिंदुइज्म, दैट बेसिकली व्हाट इट मीन्स इज दैट मैंने कुछ किया है, मैं सफर करूंगी लेकिन फिर वो खत्म हो जाएगा. सो इफ फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर मेरे बुरे कर्म है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल इफ आई एम स्मोकिंग, राइट, इसका सफरिंग है दैट आई मे हैव कैंसर और वट एवर, but there will be an end to it. Once I have suffered through that pain, physical pain or whatever, and maybe even if I die suffering, it is not going to carry on in my next life.
Got
It
it.
will end.
Got it.
Next life, I will be born healthy because I have suffered.
Suffered. Got it. So basically, as
Right?
given the karma back एक तरीके से आपने अपना कर्म अगर live through कर लिया, then it's done.
यस, गुड बैड अगली इंडिफरेंट. आपके अच्छे कर्मों का आपको मजे भी होंगे और बुरे कर्मों के आपके सफरिंग भी होगी, लेकिन लिमिट है. तो अहिल्या ने किया and then that limitation ended. Now adultery was something that was not going to find forgiveness in that society, even today's society for that matter, forever, right? मतलब वो एक कहते हैं ना, वो धब्बा लग जाता है किसी के कैरेक्टर पे. तो अहिल्या के साथ ना वो हुआ कि धब्बा लग गया, दैट शी इज एन अडल्ट्रेस.
Okay.
वो पत्थर बनी रही, सफर किया, सफरिंग खत्म हो गई, राम ने खत्म कर दिया. बट राम्स फॉरगिवनेस वाज दैट once an adulteress doesn't mean always an adulteress. तो ये धब्बा परमानेंट नहीं है, because then Ahilya and Gautam got together again and lived happily ever after or whatever, right? So जो social stigma भी है आप पे, वो भी परमानेंट नहीं होता. If you invoke the Ram within you, you need to forgive yourself. बचपन में अगर आपने कभी कुछ गलत किया है, जैसे lot of teenagers have this thing about shoplifting. Somehow it's a very exciting thing when you're 12 or 13. और ना ये गिल्ट हमेशा रहता है आपके पास कि यार वो किया था, वो किया था, वो किया था, या कभी आप चोरी करते पकड़े गए, या आप 6 महीने जेल हो आए, तो धब्बा लग गया आप पे. तो as long as you are willing to improve and lead a good life, nobody has the right to say that वो है ना, मेरे माथे पे मेरा बाप चोर है क्यों लिखा? Nobody has a
How
right
do
to
you
do it.
find the strength to forgive others in some of the cases, like when you know that somebody has wronged you? Would you again say, like, it's as simple as just saying कि उसका कर्म उसके पास?
Um, that is one way if you want to move on,
Okay, I'm listening
right?
very intently to your life. I'm understanding all you are teaching me.
So that is one way. The second way really is that you ask yourself, do you want to be a person who's perpetually thinking about a person who's wronged you and doing choo 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 in your head? The opposite of love is not hate. Opposite of love is indifference. So if the day you get the capacity, I think, to be indifferent, कि भाई तूने गलत किया, thank you very much, moving on, you and I are not friends, I don't feel the need to continue, you don't exist for me. That's where your true freedom will come.
Right,
Otherwise तो you are spending time, मतलब आप
right.
उसको देख भी रहे हो, उसके बारे में सोच भी रहे हो, आप अपने ही कर्म गंदे कर रहे हो क्योंकि आप सोच रहे हो कि भगवान करे कुछ, a building falls on his head,
Right, 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 right. Makes
right?
sense. Okay.
Now, I don't know whether the building will fall on his head or not, but something will fall on your head definitely for
Yeah,
thinking this.
got it. Makes sense.
उसका मुझे नहीं पता कि उसके क्या कर्म है और बिल्डिंग उस पे गिरेगी कि नहीं गिरेगी. I cannot guarantee.
So
But
simply
I
put,
can
you
only
do forgiveness for your own self. आप खुद को भी
for
अपने लिए
one
forgive
self.
करते हैं,
मैं
सामने वाले
अपने
को
कर्म
भी.
मैं अपने कर्म
Because that
गंदे नहीं कर सकती.
is not a strong emotion that you would be carrying. It's actually indifference is the
Yeah,
goal that you have to reach to. In case you don't
yeah.
want to be like do any like nata or whatever with that person.
Yeah, I am just simply going to say यार मेरे ना I need to cleanse my कर्म. मेरे को नहीं सोचना है उसके बारे में कि वो बर्बाद हो जाए, लुट जाए, उसका कुछ नुकसान हो जाए, क्योंकि उसका हो ना हो मेरा जरूर हो जाएगा.
Makes sense.
Because ये मेरे कर्म है. This thought
Yeah.
is my कर्म.
And also, there's a very interesting book called Heal Your Life by Louis Hay, which actually talks about that, how these negative emotions ultimately turn out to be diseases in your body. Like, all the
Yeah,
diseases in your body are basically being fostered by all of these negative emotions.
body keeps scores. Yeah.
Correct. So, and also even in Vipassana, when we were doing Vipassana, what my understanding was, they did not categorically say this. I think as a part of the meditation technique, we are releasing the trauma stored in the body via that technique, the way that technique is.
Yeah.
So, what you are saying makes absolute sense that if you're not forgiving and you're keeping it all here and burning, then you never know, it might become an autoimmune disease. It might become cancer. It might become so much that you don't know.
Easier said than done है. मतलब मेरे को तो अपनी चिंता करनी चाहिए ना, मैं दूसरे की चिंता क्यों करूं? राइट, मुझे तो अपनी चिंता, मुझे अपने कर्म क्लीन करने हैं, मुझे किसी के बारे में बुरा नहीं सोचना, मुझे बिकॉज आई नो कि मैंने जो भी सोचा, जो भी कहा, ये मेरे कर्म माने जाएंगे, ये उसके कर्म नहीं माने जाएंगे. राइट, तो इफ ही इज रॉन्ग्ड मी और ही और शी हैज रॉन्ग्ड मी, वो उसके कर्म है. आई डोंट नो कि ये उसके कर्म में विल ही और शी एवर सफर और नॉट, बट आई कैन टेल यू दैट मेरे सोचने से ही विल नॉट सफर.
Makes sense.
मेरे सोचने से आई विल ओनली सफर.
Got it. Yeah. Does Ramayana say anything on gratitude also? Like gratitude or being grateful? Is that a context in any?
It's a Ram ka virtue. Gratitude. It's the Ram and Kevat story. I've done a full video on it. It's on YouTube. The Kevat story.
Yeah,
so
what? Actually, after the live now, I will also link up your podcast and your YouTube, because your podcast, even I listen to them, and I really feel that they all should
thanks
listen
so
to your
much.
podcast. They are so nicely curated. But if you could quickly tell us the story here also in short, I'll anyway link it up for the elaborate version there.
So केवट के साथ था that गंगा पार जाना था. So केवट said कि राम, सीता and लक्ष्मण said गंगा पार करा दो. उसने करा दी. When Ram tried to pay him, he said कि नहीं, we are ना same profession में. So he said, how are we in the same profession? So he said कि मैं गंगा पार लगा देता हूँ, तुम मेरे को ना भवसागर पार लगा देना. So basically there's a devotion. He believes in Ram. या तो राम की डिविनिटी कि भगवान है, मरने के बाद भवसागर पार लगाएंगे, और इट इज बेसिकली जस्ट लाइक अ लीडर कि आप ना मेरी नैया पार लगा देना. राइट, वी एक्सपेक्ट आवर लीडर्स टू डू दैट. राइट,
करेक्ट.
सो वो मतलब नैया पार लगी रही है. So my thing is that Kevat comes from a place where he has softer emotions. He has devotion. He has gratitude. He has humility. He believes that Ram now बड़े आदमी है. राइट, तो जब आप वो सारी चीजें करते हैं ना, आप किसी चीज में भी देख लीजिए. अगेन, आप कपड़े लेने जाते हैं, अगर आपको दुकानदार एज अ केवट करे कि आप राम हैं और वो केवट है, वो आपको ह्यूमिलिटी दिखा रहा है, ग्रेटिट्यूड की थैंक यू आपने मेरे कपड़े खरीदे, आपकी वजह से मेरा घर चलेगा एंड ऑल दैट,
Hmm.
तो चांसेस आर कि आप उस दुकान पे फिर जाएंगे क्योंकि सर्विस
Right.
इतनी अच्छी थी,
Right.
राइट? सो दीज आर सॉफ्टवेयर इमोशंस विच मेक अ परफेक्ट ह्यूमन बीइंग। आपकी ह्यूमिलिटी है, ग्रेस है, ग्रेटिट्यूड है, दैट इज ऑन वन साइड। फिर आपके राम के इमोशंस हैं विच आर कंपैशन, क्योंकि वो राजा हैं,
Yeah.
फॉरगिवनेस, वो राजा हैं,
Yeah.
राइट? ये सारे राजा के
Yeah.
वर्च्यूज हैं। वो ऑनेस्ट हैं, ट्रूथफुल हैं,
Yeah.
राइट? एक अच्छे लीडर हैं। तो
Hmm.
अगर आप ये राम के वर्च्यूज और केवट के वर्च्यूज मिला लें, then you are a perfect human being, you are a ram yourself.
So then I'm definitely going to link up your video of YouTube so that they can go and check it out in an elaborate form. Okay,
Thanks so much.
we were coming to the last question now. Just if anybody wants to start this journey of like taking responsibility of their own self in any context, what is one little thing that you would just tell them to do maybe on a daily basis, or one
Spend
little
time.
thing? Sorry?
Spend time with yourself.
Yeah, okay. So that
Start
would
with
be
10,
amazing.
start with 10 minutes.
Okay.
Start
And do
with
you
10
recommend
minutes.
something like journaling or like I don't know, like is there a keep it easy?
Whatever works for you. Whatever works
Okay,
for you.
okay, keep it easy.
Yeah. And if you think कि यार कभी कभी ना see why I do Ramayan is because Ram is my go-to person.
Hmm.
Because nobody is there to tell me कि ये सही है कि गलत है.
Right, right, right.
Right? So for example, I'll give you a very small thing that, you know, if I want to find out कि यार I'm a single parent, right? How should a single parent behave? Right? आई हैव नो वन, क्योंकि मतलब लोगों से बात करोगे तो लोग तो कुछ भी बोलेंगे और सारे आपके शुभ चिंतक हैं, राइट? तो यू विल गेट एडवाइस लाइक यू पॉइजन योर चाइल्ड्स माइंड अगेंस्ट योर स्पाउस, राइट? अपने बच्चे का सरनेम बदल दो, राइट? बिल्कुल, बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली इफ अ मैरिज इज ब्रोकन अप देयर इज ऑब्वियसली अ प्रॉब्लम, राइट? And you've become a single parent, for example. So, in situations like this, I always find it easy to go to the Ramayana. How did Sita treat her sons?
Yeah.
She did not poison them against their father, right? She did not even tell them who their father was, right? She and Valmiki taught the sons about the greatness of Ram, right? She did not judge, she did not kind of, try and manipulate her sons,
Manipulate her sons. Correct, correct.
you know,
Yeah.
she didn't do that. So for me, मेरे को लगता है कि अच्छा ये रामायण में ऐसे था ना, so that's how I want to be as a single parent,
Got it,
for
got it.
example, right? So for that, it is necessary if you ever you ask me anything, what kind of a wife do I want to be? I want to have a marriage like Ram and Sita. Nothing else works for me, right? So उसमें फिर कोई बात नहीं. I can marry a फौजी. I can live separate. I don't need a husband around, right? So go back to Ramayana. What kind of a daughter should I be?
Got
What
it.
kind of a daughter-in-law should I be?
Got it.
Right? What kind of a sibling should I be? Should I be a Vibhishan? Should I be a Bali and Sugriv? Should I be a Ram Lakshman like sibling? तो ये सारे आपको रामायण में मिलते हैं. सो फॉर मी इट इज वेरी इजी टू से कि नहीं मेरे को ना लक्ष्मण बनना है. टू माई ब्रदर आई वांट टू बी अ लक्ष्मण, आई डोंट, और आई वांट टू बी अ भरत. आई डोंट वांट टू बी अ विभीषण. I don't want to be a Bali who doesn't.
First, you start spending time with yourself, and then you find whatever resonates with you. Like for your case,
Yeah,
it's Ramayana very strongly.
yeah.
And I actually have one more friend also, who strongly, like resonates with Lord Ram, and he would like keep on telling me so many stories about him. So then you find like whatever resonates with you, whatever
Whatever
philosophy,
resonates.
story, whoever like you feel that okay,
हाँ.
from him I can take cues in terms of how do I lead my life and be at peace with my choices is the way for it.
आप सारे अपने एपिक्स पढ़ सकते हैं, मालूम सबको हैं, लेकिन थोड़ा सा जब आप 10 मिनट अगर अपने साथ टाइम स्पेंड कर रहे हैं तो आप किताब भी पढ़ सकते हैं. यू कैन रीड द विष्णु पुराण, सब इंग्लिश में आता है आजकल. यू कैन रीड द भगवत पुराण एंड देन यू कैन डिसाइड कि भाई मैं भाई हूं तो मैं अर्जुन हूं क्या, या मैं युधिष्ठिर हूं क्या, मैं बलराम हूं क्या, मैं लक्ष्मण हूं, मैं विभीषण हूं, मैं कुंभकर्ण हूं, मैं क्या हूं? राइट? And I like being this. So, again, आपकी मर्यादा पे है. Like, if you see Mandodari and Sita, if you decide कि what kind of a wife should I be, right? So, Mandodari and Sita में difference नहीं है. They are both devout wives. They love their husbands to distraction. They have gone to extremes to safeguard their husband. प्यार की कमी नहीं इंटेंट. डिफरेंस कहाँ आता है कि सीता के पास राम है, उसके पास रावण है. Right? So the point is, I can decide to be a Sita-like wife, but I can be a Sita-like wife only to a Ram, no?
Makes sense.
If I find myself married to a Ravan, I may be, then I'm a Mandodari. I am bound to lose my husband.
Got it. Makes sense. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So read the epics, read the stories. आजकल तो इतनी ज़्यादा आ गई हैं, different people, different versions. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And then decide of what kind of a wife you want to be, husband you want to be, employee you want to be.
Yeah.
You know, आप devotion करते हैं तो क्या आप हनुमान हैं किसी के लिए?
Makes sense.
Right? So,
thank you so very much for your time today. Seriously.
Thanks, Kamya. This was lovely.
I don't have any more questions to bug you.
Yes,
But this
no
was
problem.
very insightful, genuinely. But thanks so much for your time. It was
Thanks. Lovely, Kamya, and thanks so much.
I'm so glad we did this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.